Hey everybody, welcome! I am thrilled to be here today. Going to be a unique stream today. I'm really excited. Last week we finished Super Mario RPG. Checked out there's some post game content, but it's really just more boss fights, and so it would just be you guys watching me do the combat, which I'm sure you've had enough of. Which there's no voices for me to do in combat, and that's the best part of this stream, right? Is me doing the voices and whatnot. But instead today I have some connections, some friends in the industry, and thankfully I was able to find out of a game that I'd never heard of before that just released about a really popular series called The Lost Legends of Redwall. But even more so on top of this, we have been blessed to have one of the devs at Soma Game come here to join us. Everybody say hello to Chris Skaggs.
Hello, how's it going, everybody?
Hey, Chris, first of all, I have your screen off-centered here. No, not that one. Hold on. Hang on, I'm going to fix them. Don't worry, everybody. All right, it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. There, we did it. No, not that. Hey, Fargo Fox, how you doing, man? I'm ruining everything here. I'm trying to do whatever. It's fine. Everything's fine. Redwall, we're ready to give this series to our oldest. Oh, nice. Awesome. Did you read this, Farrago Fox? Was this one that you got into at some point? I know you're a few years younger than I am. But, Chris, hey, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about kind of what your role was in all of this. Are you like the lead designer? Is that like, what is your title at Soma Games? Then, so, okay, here. Again, I was telling Chris ahead of time, guys, that I'm really excited about this. I'm kind of giddy. So, one at a time, tell us about yourself. Tell us what your role is at Soma, and tell us about Soma itself. Go.
Sure. So me, Chris Skaggs. I live in Oregon, so a little bit south of UC, down in Newburgh, and we've been in Soma Games. Started, I want to say 2005 on paper, 2008 in kind of where we wrote our first code. Our first app was on the iPhone, and I'm the founder. So I'm the founder and the co-owner. I have a business partner, Randy Brune, and so now we are. Probably, I'm pretty sure we're the oldest and most prolific Christian-led studio in the world. I think, like, it's kind of a hard thing to verify, but I believe that's the case. We're certainly up there.
Chris has gone out and knocked on doors and made sure, like, hey, how long have you guys been around? How many? He's really making sure. So,
yeah, you bet. So in that case, we've kind of grown both in terms of just like IP. So like Redwall is a huge opportunity for us, giant thing kind of dropped in our lap. But we do a bunch of other stuff too. And so we've made games on probably every platform you can think of, including there's actually a Redwall game on Alexa, believe it or not.
Really?
Hold on. Purely.
Is it just like a voice conversation? Is like so? And what I'm imagining here is those like really old. This is now I'm showing how old I am. The text-based adventure games where it was like you walk into a room and you say "Go west" or whatever. Is it like that? Just sort of a conversation.
That is exactly right.
That's incredible. I love that.
So one of the really fun chances we had to do with Redwall was with Scott Adams, who is not the Dilbert Scott Adams, but the other Scott Adams, who kind of invented text adventures back in the day. So he was a huge Adventures International was a huge company back in the 70s, and he was the founder. And we ran into him a couple years ago, and he made a kind of like a new version of his old school like noun plus verb language parser. And created Escape the Gloomer. So we have this Redwall game called Escape the Gloomer, which you can play on Steam. But then also Amazon approached us and said, "Hey, can you put that whole thing on Alexa?" So we did. We just mapped the whole friggin' game to pure voices and sounds, and it's like an audio drama. It's fantastic.
That's incredible. I love that. That is such a brilliant idea to say, hey, we have this technology now that is essentially like we have speech to text. We've had speech to text for a long time. We have text to speech the other way around as well. But we have these interactive voice mediums. So why wouldn't we be able to just make this happen? And you did. That's genius. I love that.
Exactly, and it's been such a fun thing to do for all kinds of reasons. One, Scott is like a friggin' like legend in the industry, so he's awesome, and he's just really great to work with. But that becomes part of the story. So you're asking like kind of how we are is, back in the day we decided like how can we really be true to our faith, like always be upfront and candid about who we are and what we're doing. But also we didn't really want to make Bible games, that kind of thing. So what we did is that we started making we started making games that were all for the mainstream audience, but very consistently with our worldview kind of intact. Redwall's an interesting case. So Redwall actually is not, I think what most people would say, not a Christian book,
Hmm.
but it sells like hotcakes in Christian bookstores. It's very friendly to the Christian worldview. A lot of people would say it's kind of the spiritual successor to Narnia, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And so if you don't know this game, you would love it. Like, it's really fantastic. If you don't know the books, they're fantastic. So it's going to be. I think it's a gas. I think you're going to see how much you like it.
Faith Drawn, welcome. Glad you're here. By the way, happy to have somebody new in the chat here. Wonderful to have you. Welcome to Save Point Ministries, and welcome to Lost Legends of Redwall with Chris Skaggs. Chris, what did you say your role was? Again, is it lead designer, lead dev, or what do you got?
Yeah, probably. I was the lead designer early on. That goes on, and then I'm probably do a lot of writing. So that's a big thing I do.
Oh, nice, nice. So how much of like, because you're a smaller studio, how many people do you have on your team?
Right now we have 8. At the top, when we were like at full bore in Redwall, we probably had 50.
So how many pies did you have to have your fingers in? Like, are you able to like poke in on the animation? Are you able to poke in on that stuff, or were you able to just sort of like let people do their thing? How many fingers did you, or how many pies did you have to have your fingers in?
Man, a lot. So at one point, like it was just like every day, all the time, you're just doing all this stuff. So it got really, really busy. But at the same time, you also kind of you learn to figure it out, and that's just part of the business.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, okay. I can't just talk to you the whole time. This is not a podcast. We're gonna play the game too. I have so many questions because I also want to talk to you about like the modern gaming industry, the nature of crunch. You talk about we just got really busy
Sure.
sometimes, things like that. But I think that's all stuff that we can get to. Let's play this game because again, I jumped into it a little bit last night, and it is a really fun game with some unique mechanics that I was actually really thrilled about. First and foremost, what I do want to ask you is this music slaps. The music is just
Right?
top notch, man. I have been like thrilled this whole time. So where did you get the music from? Who wrote all this? Where did this come from?
Yeah, so there's 2 main musicians. So what you're hearing right now is kind of the guitar picking,
Hmm.
and so that's from a gentleman named Keith Medley, and he works at Gibson Guitars, but he also invented this like 27 string guitar. It's incredible what he does. So he does this really incredible guitar picking, and he probably
Chris,
does about a third of the songs.
I'm gonna apologize. I'm gonna to say hang on here because also I want to say the voice acting is top notch, and we got an intro here. So let's listen to these folks.
You bet. You
Cutting
bet.
things close doesn't suit me. You know that. I'm a planner. I'm a philosopher. This whole business has my humors out of balance.
There, Brother Wilport. You just let me fret about the play, and you make sure the feast is perfect. I'm especially looking forward to that hot root sun salad.
Oh, yes, quite right. There's much to be prepared. Friar Randall was concerned that the cheese and onion hogsbake was too heavy to follow the blazing roots. He may be correct.
You see, there's far more need for your talents in the kitchen than out here. Let your old friend do what he's good at, making a fool of himself. Oh my.
Very well, I'll take my leave. But please try to keep on schedule. You know how I worry.
Indeed, I do. Sister Edelweiss, I trust William won't perish before he has a chance to taste the good friar's blackberry crumble.
Oi now. It's hard to say. 'Tis surely a bit of Blackwater fever. Now I can't remedy with some nettles and wort, but that foul temper, now, that just might be fatal.
I'm not grumpy.
No? Boy, Yoki, then why in the sharp tongue when I asked for that filthy old winglass? The rusty old thing is reeking with mould and mire. It's likely the cause of your fever for all the fuss it's bearing.
Sorry, grandfather. I found it in the library.
Chat, I'm seeing people say that that the stream is laggy. Is it laggy for everybody, or are we? Can you hear us? How's it looking to you guys?
We're ready for Hilltop Camp, Brother Jethro. Shall we wait for you?
No need to wait, lads. Carry on, and I'll be there shortly. Thank you for your legendary healing skills, sister. As always, we are in your debt.
We? I say it's just you who be's owing.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I haven't seen this in ages. And such perfect timing, dear boy. Do you know who this weight glass belonged to, William?
Honest truth, I just thought it was another trinket you'd packed away for no good reason.
Trinket? Badgerwolf. This was one of the trusty tools carried by the Lilygrove Scout Corps back when Clooney the Scourge, that wretched pirate, laid siege to Redwall Abbey. And it so happens that this very thing has a role to play in the story we'll be telling for the Abbot's celebration. I've written a play to share one of my lost legends with all of Redwall. Of course, everyone knows about Matthias and Constance and Basil Staghair, but few know.
Give me a
about
second,
the
Chad. I think I know the
trio of
problem.
brave woodlanders
But we're gonna
from
let this finish.
Lilygrove who played a crucial role in those events. Have you ever heard of Liam or Sophia Rivermouse?
No, but I don't suppose you could become me the story, since I'm bedridden and ailing, and might not live to see the play. Please?
Might not live to say. Okay, I love it. Oh, it's so good. Okay, hey, Chris, I think my whole internet setup is disliking the fact that I'm both streaming to you and to Twitch at the same time here. So I'm gonna close my stream to you here, and you may have to open Twitch.
That's okay. I got Twitch open. I can see that.
Okay, cool. All right, that's so weird. It shouldn't be an issue. I'm trying to. All right, chat. We're gonna do one last. We're gonna go ahead and stick around. Just stay right here. Oh no! Wait! Hey, looks like that was it. Looks like, yeah, it was the fact that I was both streaming to you and to Twitch at the same time. My upload speeds didn't like that for some reason. So, okay. If you guys didn't get that, I'm talking over this. I'm sorry. Long story short, these are two characters here. They are betrothed to be married. That's in a few days. As for right now, they are also joining a rank of protectors of their clan called the Scouts. And so we're going to go through a tutorial here in a second that is like the joining of the Scouts. Woo! Good to hear, Faithron. Good to hear. Awesome. Johan, right? Johan, not Johan, right? Johan, welcome. Glad you're in the chat with us.
For my initiation, didn't make a bit of difference though. A scout needs to be ready, no matter the situation. So, which one of you is in the dock this fine winter evening?
Okay. I don't know how much of a difference it makes. I did the tutorial as Liam, so I'm going to go through as Sophia this time. Chris, you were telling us about the music, man. Okay, so you were telling us about, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he made a 27-string guitar. That was incredible. Continue with that.
And I'm ready.
Yeah, so Keith made this probably about a third of the music. So whenever you hear like this kind of like guitar picking stuff, that's all Keith. And we really, like, I ran into him through a friend of a friend kind of a thing, actually at John Eldridge's camp at Wild at Heart. And so Keith is just a fantastic musician. So he does about a third of the stuff. The other stuff, which is the more cinematic stuff, all comes from James Marentet. And he has been a fantastic musician resource, and he composes all this stuff from scratch. He's got all his own tools. He did all the audio mastering for the voices and everything else. So James is probably did about 2/3 of all the music you'll hear. We also actually licensed a couple things, did some original songwriting. So the credit songs, the first one, like I wrote the song, and it's called Holton Home, and it's like the sad song that Keith played the music for, and one of the voiceover artists, Bill Russell, did the lyrics, and we licensed a song called The Pirate King from a woman who kind of writes songs for middle schools, but we like this song is actually really fun, so we tweaked it a little bit to be about rats, and so her name's Carol Wiggins, and so yeah, you'll see all those credits on the official soundtrack.
That's wonderful. I'm a monster, chat. I apologize. I must invert my y-axis, and so going in. I guess when I restarted the game, it undid. There we go. Okay, cool. There we go. What about the voice actors? Are these folks on your team? Did you sort of pick up some freelancers?
Combination. So we did an open audition call. This is now like several years ago, and we just posted on our Facebook, "Hey, anyone want to audition for voices?" And we probably had 300 or 400 different submissions.
Oh man!
And it was a wide range from professionals to first timers and everything else. And we had, so there's probably about 40 different voice actors. Some of them play multiple roles, and they're fantastic. That was one of the best parts of this whole thing, was just learning to kind of do some direction, learning at least, and they're all over the world, right? So we've got Americans, British people, Australians, folks from Russia, folks from actually there's one folks in Namibia of all places. So
Jeez.
As long as you can get the accent, you're doing great.
I love that. That's something that, of all like the really dumb things that I took a hobby in, it was picking up accents, because I'm our forever DM in Dungeons and Dragons, and I wanted to find more ways to like differentiate NPCs and whatnot. And so I started like legitimately like watching YouTube videos on how to do different accents and how to like do them properly and whatnot. And it's like, it's a skill. It's one that needs to be trained, and one that needs effort to be put into. So it's been really cool to hear good voice acting will make or break a game in such a good way.
Yes.
Yeah, the voice acting in this is outstanding.
Thanks. I would agree.
So a few things I want to talk about in this tutorial here is number one is the animations. There are just some... Oh, okay, real quick, chat. I wanted to get into... This is one of my favorite mechanics in the game is... in like old cartoons, I guess you just call them stink lines, like scent trails, you could say. But
I will tell you, like the scent mechanic was one where we had a lot of we had a lot of conversations, like how do you actually do this in a way that's meaningful, because it's like we don't smell things, or at least we don't live the world through smell, right? And so it's just not the way we think about stuff. But we were like, what can we do that was really different and unique for this? That like this idea popped up. Like, what if we did this kind of big idea of scent? And it was difficult to get our heads around it. Like we probably, for one thing, technically, it was very difficult to get something that was performant.
Yeah.
Like we wanted to do these things where there's scent particles everywhere, and that they travel a long way. So we have all this stuff that we wanted. And it was hard to get something performant. But then even harder was just try to get puzzle designers to think with their nose. Like that was a challenge. And so at first it was super gimmicky and lame, and it was kind of like Batman Arkham Asylum, where it's like
I was gonna bring
kind of
exactly
it's like X-ray vision, kind
it's
of like
detective
that
mode. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's just not sufficient, right? So like we need something that's a lot more robust. And I'm really glad with what we got to. I feel like by the time we were probably into the third act, we were starting to see like, oh, this is what we do. And we started to see like opportunities, like what if you could fake a scent and sort of like forge a signature, so to speak? Like all of a sudden we had all these other ideas that then we were retconning back into the previous acts. Like we got to put this in there. So I love the scent mechanic. I think it's the most unique thing that we got going on here.
Wholeheartedly agree with exactly that phrase. Like, and what I'm doing right now, chat, is you see that the scent mechanic will follow where you have been, so you can see where I have been standing with these different scent lines of where I've been walking. You see, I stood here for a while, then I stood here for a while, then I stood here for a while. It will follow me around, and you can see that with other characters as well, from like other creatures and whatnot. They all have their own scent lines, and I also enjoy that it's not something that is only there when you push a button. It's a persistent thing in the world because that's how these creatures perceive this world. They don't choose
Yeah.
when to smell and when not to smell. This is a sense like with our hearing and our sights that it's just always there. I really really like that. There was also a sense thing here, which we're going to get into a little more later. But here is kind of the detective vision, the Arkham Asylum detective vision looking thing here, and it whenever things do this well, it's with color. And that's what has been done really, really well with this is just how bright and vibrant it looks when you are looking through this. Uh, real dumb thing. Again, a design nerd here. I love this scramble animation. I literally
Thanks.
just when I I just like stopped and then did it like 3 times in a row because for an anthropomorphic animal, what's always hard to balance is making your character look normal, human, like a human being, but then also giving
Yeah.
them the characteristics of the animal that they're representing. And this scurry animation is just perfect, like just ideal, man.
Thanks.
I love that.
Thank you very much. I think Matt, actually, Matt's someone who has a full time job, but he's not supposed to be moonlighting. So actually, someone named Matt that I won't reveal
A
helped us
human
with all of our
being, yeah.
navigation.
Good job, Matt.
Like literally, he's not even in the credits. It's like this secret thing.
G Creature, welcome. Glad you're here, my friend. We are playing the Lost Legends of Redwall, The Scout, with Chris Skaggs, who is one of the writers and the lead designer with Soma Games, who made the game. Here is chat the like I was saying before, the sort of detective mode mechanic within this game. Again, I'm still goofing, like freaking out over the scent mechanic, so I'm not going to talk about that yet, though, because we're going to get into the scent mechanic more. But you can see that I am essentially smelling that there are these rats behind each of the doors here. Well, they're fake rats, so I'm trying to find the safe door, to which, hey, it's right over here. We did it. We did the thing. G Creature, how you feeling today, man? Are you 100% yet after post-op? I know that you had your operation a while back, so just checking in, seeing how you're feeling. Oh, here it is, chat. This is my favorite thing. It's such a silly thing to be in love with, but this little tutorial here that's going to go into some specific stuff about the scent mechanic I really, really enjoy.
Steve, what kind of games do you typically play on your stream?
So we are. It depends. We do two main types of shows. Number one is at this time slot we do mostly story-driven single-player RPGs. We like to talk about the story, and I like to talk about game design because it's just something I'm interested in. But then we will also host nerd-friendly pastors and ministry leaders to talk about their home church. But also it's the game with them. And then so we do like heavy multiplayer, just very, game style. Like we just played Super Mario, what's it called? Mario Party. We just played Mario Party with somebody, did things like that. Soma Games. Oh, that's you. Hi, Soma Games. And
chatting it up.
Yeah. So this is like, I'm thrilled for this time slot for this stream, but then a lot of multiplayer stuff on top of that. Okay, chat. So I'm trying to find, these are scented candles. I want to find the candle that smells like these peppers here. So I'm going to come up, I'm holding my sense button. I'm going to go ahead and give it a good sniff. And now I'm holding that scent in my mind.
Now, we know sniffing can help us see the unseen, but it could also help us identify different scents in the air. So, pick out the candle that smells like chili peppers.
So I'm looking for chili peppers here. I'm going to my journal. And then over here, I have these scent memories. I've got mouse. Oh, wait, wrong button. My bad. I've got mouse, I got rat, I've got onion, apple, pickles, carrots, all this stuff. But here we go, chili peppers, right? So I can see that chili peppers have 1 dark green, 2 light green. The dark green is vegetable, and the light green is spicy. And so they actually have like this numerical measurement of the scents in these. And so you can see, and now that I have studied and know it, I can see that there are like little chili peppers floating up from there, just as you can see that there are pictures of me floating up from my scent. And so now I can actually go back here and take a look at all these different scents. Look at the colors. We see a lot of blue here, but right back here we see one that has some green coming up from it. And when you hold the scents button, you can see that it's got the chili peppers floating up. It's so good.
I'm glad you like it.
Again, so we were talking about how this is a series that really speaks to a specific age group, but is enjoyable for like any age group. It is one that's going to be, you know, a lot of fun. The story's going to be wonderful for everyone. And it plays very much in that way, where as somebody who's, you know, 40 years old, been playing video games pretty much my entire life, there's just little small mechanics in this that are just so unique and such a delight. It plays so smoothly. It's so much fun. I kid you not. I was talking to people yesterday and I'm like, I'm nervous, guys, because I'm playing a game with one of the developers. What if it's bad? What if I don't like it? Like,
what if it really sucks?
Yeah, what if like, oh no, guys, what am I gonna do? Like, I'm gonna have to find really good things to say about it. So thankfully, it has actually been a genuine delight, and I've really, really been enjoying it. And so, little things like this are the stuff that I nerd out about, because especially when it comes to indie games, you gotta find something that's gonna help your game stand out. My kids could easily jump in and play this game, no problem at all, and understand everything. But as again, somebody who's been playing for a long time, little things like the scent mechanic are so fun.
I gotta say that the story of how Redwall came to us is actually really, we weren't looking for this. We weren't out, you know, hunting for a property. We actually had kind of a friend of a friend of a friend sort of a thing give us a call one day, and he was like, "Hey, I'm trying to get connected with these guys at Redwall. I've got this movie idea. Can you guys make like a little mobile game that would support a movie?" I'm like, "All right, I guess so." I didn't really think about. I thought it was just a gig. But then over time, like one thing led to the other, and next thing you know, like we've got this full license. We're making multiple games. It was a huge break for us.
So you can see, chat, that there's a draft coming from there. Even if that rat thing isn't looking at me, I would be downwind of him, or upwind, or whatever it is, where the wind is going to be blowing my scent over at him, and therefore he would be able to smell me. So I have to not only wait till he's turned around, I have to travel specifically on that side so my scent doesn't go up to him. It's such a fun mechanic. So, okay, so you were contacted just for the mobile game, and then it came about that they got you this instead. What had you done before this that made them look to you for the mobile game?
But several things. So by that point, we had done several years where we were working with Intel Corporation, and so for Intel, there was a time where they were trying to make their own version of the App Store, and so it was called App Up, and it was designed around kind of like small little games and apps on your Ultrabooks. Bottom line is, like, we worked for them for many years and we made many games, and we kind of learned along the way. And so then we also published some of our own stuff, and we had some silly titles, mobile stuff and console stuff, and so we had continued to make games. None of them were IP games, so that was a new thing. So I think he just kind of heard about us. It was like I said, it was a friend of a friend kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm. That's very cool. Always fun to get a cool break like that. And I feel like, again, so I had not heard of this series until the game dropped, but since then, obviously, I went and I've been doing my homework. It's kind of like prolific. I was shocked that I had not heard of it.
It is huge, and we had no idea.
Yeah.
Like literally when that call came, I'm like, I don't know, there's talking mice with swords. I guess we could probably make something, right? I don't know anything about it. And then we had this. We made our very first post on our blog, like, hey, we got this license, we're gonna start working on it. And a couple weeks later, we get this letter written in pencil from a soldier in Afghanistan, he goes on for pages about how Redwall changed his life. Redwall made me the man I am. Here I am defending our country, and I can't believe how inspirational Redwall was. And I'm so glad a company like Soma Games got this IP, because you'll do it right. You'll understand the deeper meaning. Like, you'll do it really well. And then he just goes on and on and on. And then at the end, he's like, "Don't screw it up." Except he didn't say screw. And
no pressure,
we get
though.
letters like that. We get stuff like that all the time. And pretty soon we're realizing, oh my gosh, the fan base of this is enormous. And we realized like they've got like 100 million readers. For many years, it was required reading in public schools. And so you've got
Jeez.
millions and millions of kids who read this stuff and grew up with it. And we just had no idea. But the fans have been the best part of this because they're super supportive. They love this world. And so far, they haven't been those crazy Star Wars fans who just criticize everything you do. Like for the most part, they're very supportive. They want us to win. And I think we just didn't know what to do with that. And they've turned out to be wonderful. And like I think about some of the folks who have really become good friends. Some of them become employees.
Hmm.
And so like there are I don't even know how many, like hundreds of thousands of like rabid Redwall fans who want nothing more than to see this whole world keep growing.
That is something that is rare but wonderful in the world of nerd
Yeah.
culture, where you have these dedicated and passionate fans, and they are just supportive. Like typically,
Yeah.
it's not that way. And what it comes down to, I talk about this on within our channel a lot, is all the things I'm a big nerd of. Theology and like ancient Hebrew and Greek is all a big one of them. Proverbs 4, there's a verse that says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. And
Right.
the word heart in there is a Hebrew word that's lave. And lave we translate as heart, but what it really means is kind of like the core foundations of who we are. It's like
Right on.
a very solid part. And so the way that I liken it when I preach about it is I talk about a Jenga tower. And
Okay.
whatever's at the very base of that Jenga tower is your lave. That's where your core is, your heart. And
Okay.
what it's telling us is be very careful what you let in there, because everything else is stabilized on that. And what happens is nerds will let Star Wars into their lave. They're not guarding their light. And so now Star Wars is a core thing. And so when a Star Wars comes out that they don't like, and that bottom thing shakes, it shakes everything above it as well. Their entire life is shaken by the fact that they didn't like this Star Wars thing. And so they have to lash out, protectively have to lash out for it. And it's something that,
Yeah.
we got to be very careful as people who love fantasy and love this type of culture, is we got to make sure that our lave still has a healthy foundation as believers. Our foundation is in Christ, and everything else is just kind of stacked on that. I love it, but we don't have to find
Yeah.
out about
Yeah.
checkpoints. Hey, dude, checkpoint. This is a church, or this is a church. Well, this is also a church. Hey, Checkpoint Church. This is a game that I think you might like a lot, Checkpoint. This is a pretty, a super fun, really chill indie game that I'm playing here with Chris, the leader of the studio. Grognard. Yes, in a way, definitely yes. So we got to make sure we're protecting these things. And so when you find a fan base where it's not the core of who they are, they don't have to fight and lash out to protect it. They're able to just sort of like enjoy it and have fun. It's such a refreshing thing. Okay, there's one more. Where's that last thing? Beans. There's one more thing I need to look at, and I'm trying to remember what that thing is here. It's not the forest. There it is. There it is. It's this camp right here.
Those tents are where the captains sleep. Since they're in charge of keeping the
Hey, Steve, I'm going to go off camera for just a second to fill my coffee, but I can hear you.
Absolutely. Do your thing. Checkpoint. Hey, did you ever read Redwall? Was this something for you?
I don't know how Robin even gets a wink of sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. We have this exact game I was talking about when we went on Twig last week. And I got the joy, when I said I was going to be streaming it, Chris contacted me and he was like, hey, do you want a guest on stream? And I'm like, yes, the lead dev on the game itself. So it's something it's been really fun to be talking about. He and I, mostly me. For him, it's work. For me, I've been geeking out about the game design of it and everything like that. And now he's giggling off camera. But yes, it's something that. What's that?
You should tell your fans how we met.
Chris and I met. Oh, geez, how we actually met was a good long time ago. With there's something called Scripture Union, and they were working on something to kind of help British churches start interacting with nerd culture a little bit more, and so they were looking for nerd culture organizations to plug into this stuff.
Have to finish preparing the soup on your own.
Oh, March 10th.
If there's
There you go.
anything
Nice,
to talk
nice.
about before I
And
go,
so
be sure to ask me now.
he and I just were both part of this thing that we're talking with the British churches about how we engage, with faith and nerd culture and whatnot. But then there's also an organization. I'm guessing you're talking about Imladris, yes, Chris?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, there's an organization that Chris has. I mean, is this just a you thing that started this?
Soma did start it. Yeah. I mean, it's
Soma
actually
started it.
really grown. Yeah.
It's huge. It's
So
huge now, and I love it. But it's an organization of basically creatives. It started. I'm going to talk about it, Chris, and then I'm going to make you correct me or grow or whatever you want to do afterward. But I'm going to talk about kind of how I see it and how beautiful and wonderful it is. But faith-based creators, people who love and create fantasy. It began with game designers specifically, talking about just supporting one another and how we can bring faith into the world of gaming in a healthy and also successful way. And a great part of encouragement and whatnot. But then when Chris reached out to me, it was because of just finding other sort of faith-based organizations to help jump in on Logis as well and look into that sort of thing. And so overall, oh, look, guys, we can smell. It looks like we got cucumbers in here. I love this scent mechanic so much. It's such a dumb thing that I geek out about. And it has grown. It's grown huge, and it's been awesome. Chris, again, talk more about him, Just tell him a little bit more about. I tell people,
Yeah.
It feels so weird. I tell people about your literal dream a lot, and so, but I don't want to put words in your mouth. You go ahead. Oh, hang on here. We got. Yeah, go ahead. Post links. Go ahead. Links should be just fine.
Okay.
And then we got British Methodist Church has a good hold on what we call the fresh expressions. Which very much goes hand in hand with nerd ministry. Oh, I love that. But yeah, go ahead. Talk about your dream. Talk about Imladris. Talk about it all, my friend. Fill him in.
Yeah. So I suppose the dream that you're referring to is years and years ago. I had this dream where I was a knight on a horse, and I'm like in this kind of like banged up armor and everything else, but I'm rushing through the forest. Like we're all going. I should say I'm on this like just screaming through the forest as fast as I can, and it feels like you're all alone. Every once in a while, I would see some other knight, like just through the trees, right? You see some little bit, and they're just barely scooting by. And then even more rarely, two of us or three of us would wind up at a clearing together, and we'd kind of like, okay, we did the thing, we're together, and we just keep on racing. And so it went on like this for a while until at one point, we got to this big castle, like a city-sized castle, and Jesus is out front with this big pavilion where he's throwing a party, right? So he's got this big place where all the knights are coming to this, apparently a siege of the city. I don't know, and that's kind of where the dream ended. And for years, I really didn't understand what this was about, but Imladris grew out of this idea, like there actually are a lot of Christians who are game developers, and whether they're artists or producers or in the business side, the thing is, like, they don't know each other. Like we're super isolated from one another. So Imladris just started as, what if we got together and simply just had a meal and talked about the industry? Something really changed with the COVID is all of a sudden, basically no other entertainment was valid. Like I couldn't go to a concert, I couldn't go to a play, I couldn't make a movie. Like it was all shut down except gaming. And all of a sudden, a whole lot of people who really had ignored gaming as a thing suddenly noticed it. And a story I've heard over and over again is parents who, because they're on lockdown, they suddenly have to watch their kids play and realize that they're having community and they're having conversations and they made friends. And these parents are like, wait a second, that's not the gaming that I thought was going on. And it changed everything. So Imladris has largely been, it started as, what if we get a bunch of game developers together? And it started with like a dozen of my friends, just people I knew around the way. But pretty soon I'm getting emails from people who are like, hey, what's that Elvish thing that you're doing? And how do I get invited? And so now this group is every strata of game development you can think of, from like the absolute top of the best studios you've ever known, to like the biggest publishers in the world, to single man indie teams. Like it's all together in Imladris now, and we get together both once a year, and then there's an online community, and that's blown my mind by itself. What especially happened last year, so between you and Jimmy Harris and a couple other people, the truth measure I had never considered players. Like it just hadn't crossed my mind. I was just focused on developers. And all of a sudden it's like, yeah, but there's also some 200,000 Christian players around the world who like, could you be on their stream, right? Could you talk to them? Is there a news? Just anything. And all of a sudden this thing started to come together. It's like between players and makers and publishers, this ecosystem. And to be clear, like these aren't Bible games, right? I'm not just talking about the David and Goliath stuff. I'm talking about just Christians who are in the space, who are trying to make really good quality stuff. Now there's actually this group of, of of people who want to see Christ's name in the game space somehow, in the same way that just like the best influence, kind of the best part of the church being in gaming. So that's what Imladris started with, and I think the opportunity to start interacting with streamers and content creators and folks like you, like this is just a piece of the puzzle that we hadn't really seen before, but I think is brilliant.
Oh yeah. And yes, to answer your question, Checkpoint, this is the community that Magnus was talking about at NCMS this past
Correct.
year. Yeah, you saw Magnus's. Magnus and I both got to present at NCMS this past year. It was a lot of fun, just a great opportunity to get people come together. The whole idea of NCMS was also a very just genius thing of telling churches, hey, gaming is inherently communal. We should probably be using this to build our communities. Like it's something that the whole world does right now. We should probably be utilizing this. So, oh wait, I gotta, so 128.07. So let's get to 128. I also really like this. It makes me, it's one of those things that, I know this web page. Oh, thank you very much, Checkpoint. I appreciate that you appreciated my keynote. I had a joy giving that keynote. It was truly a passion of mine. Chris, I got to give the last keynote at NCMS, and I got to talk about how to implement nerd culture into churches, like ways that we should be using this to build our community. And
nice.
It's something that, again, Save Points, our whole goal is to help churches become more nerd friendly and help plug people into those churches. So it was a really great time to be able to talk about.
I know when we started talking to content creators in particular, the notion of like what can we, the developers, do for people like you? And often it's just interact. Like often it's the time just to say, hey, be on a stream, tell us what we're doing. And you need content, right? I actually need stuff to play. So that makes perfect sense. Like, it's kind of obvious now that you say it.
It's one of those things that I wonder if devs really understand how they're seen within gaming communities. Because if you see a movie and you fall in love with a movie, and then the key grip, you meet a guy who says he was the key grip on that film, and he's like, yeah, but I was just the key grip. It doesn't matter. People who are passionate about that film are going to be like, holy crap, you worked on the movie? Like, tell me everything that you did. What did you do? Tell me everything that happened. Like, hey, devs, we love your game. We love the content you create. What's that? You were a guy who worked on code every once in a while, and that's about it. Cool. I want to know all about that. Tell me everything about it. So, like, being present and being part of the streams that we do and whatnot is huge, man. Like, I genuinely love that you're here, that you're willing to talk to me.
You bet. And honestly, I think that so talking about Magnus, for example.
Yeah.
Magnus was with Riot. He's got these built-in fans who, for I don't even know how long League of Legends has been around, right? But like gazillions of fans.
Yeah.
And he can say like, oh, I made that character or whatever it is, right? And at first, I think so many of developers, not unlike a lot of players, we tend to be kind of shy. And so it's a little bit weird when someone's like, get your autograph or whatever. I'm like, really?
That's something that
I guess
I did a YouTube channel of me, a friend and I, just the Let's Play YouTube channel. And then we started doing some media coverage as well. And we had the the joy of being able to do. We were a small channel, only about 500 subs, but our videos got some traction, and so we got invited to do some like media coverage of some things here and there. And the first time somebody asked me for my autograph, I didn't say this, but my immediate thought was, why? Like
what?
Yeah,
Exactly.
it was really, really weird. But yeah, it's just, again, something that I learned as a pastor, that I think we expect it from being a pastor. We don't expect it in other mediums, is the impact that you have on people's life because of the things you create. And
right on.
Again, we expect that from pastors. We don't realize that as creatives, that is also an equally beautiful thing. Even as a dungeon master, playing D&D, the world I create for people is going to impact them in some way. So it's just, it's a
Agreed.
wonderful, wonderful joy to be able to do these things. So what sort of things, like what has your specific fingerprints on it in this game?
For me, probably the writing. So more than anything else, so this whole first act that you're playing now, like I wrote basically all of it. As you get writers, and so you'll see that kind of grows. I should say the lore, so like the recipes and the notes and all that kind of stuff, that was written by Samantha Riff most of the time. And then as we got into Acts 2 and 3, we hired some additional writers, so Heather Rose and Ren and some other folks kind of came in as writers, and then we would split it up largely by character or by scene. So probably my favorite bit that I wrote is actually in Act 2, where the whole Captain Snow character, he's the most like difficult person to talk to, because he's just a thesaurus. And so like writing his character was like, I'm always in the dictionary just trying to find some other weird way for him to say something, because he's super snooty and he wants to eat you. So it's just fun. I love that scene. I had a great time with it. But it's very, very florid, which was part of the fun.
That's super fun. Again, choosing the right words to represent a character. We talked before about how fans will react to these things. Like I'm watching the live action Avatar: The Last Airbender right now with my family. It's a family favorite show, and it's fun. It's really good. I enjoy the show, but like Iroh is just one of the characters, and the actor just doesn't feel like Iroh to me, just in the way that he talks and whatever.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so just being able to make sure you're picking the right words and the right attitude and presenting it in the right way is so important to fans. So hearing that you put that sort of effort into it, that you're like, I had to go into a thesaurus, I had to go in and I had to come at all of it with this idea that also I want to eat the person I'm talking to. That's
yes,
that's awesome. I love that.
Well, like I said, this was something where I mentioned the fan community earlier. We double, triple, quadruple checked everything we did through a pretty robust fan site. So there's a really strong Discord community for Redwall. Our Facebook page is the strongest Redwall community in the world. So you've got like 60,000 people on the Facebook page. I want to say something. Actually, I don't even know what's on Discord. I can look while we're here. But they've got lots of people on the Redwall page, and they really they're into it, right? So we can check everything. They've been our best testers. It's actually really, really good.
So you've been able to like just run some things by them, and they've been supportive. Have you had any, rabid folks out there?
Only like one or two, like literally one or two. I remember there was one fella who so what we found is probably 80% of fans think of Redwall as peaceful and abundant and, for lack of a better word, just kind of cozy, like the whole world. And yes, there's violence and bad guys and everything else, but overall they see it as a positive, bright place. And probably 20% really focus on the violence. And in the books, like especially as a middle schooler, you're like, that guy just took a javelin to the eyeball. Like that's so grim, right?
Yeah.
But and so it's like sometimes they come away with this awareness of the violence, and we're never going to make those 20% happy because it's just never dark enough. But that said, I remember this one guy, like he just hated everything we did. I think because he felt like he wanted to make it himself. He was kind of pissed off that someone else got the license. So eventually we had to ban this guy on like 17 different channels, and he kept coming in with with kind of like he would make new accounts. Like so eventually we're like, dude, like you are such a troll.
Oh
And
my
he would
goodness.
yeah, he would attack other people, and I guess I presume it's a he.
Right.
Just kind of the way he presented.
Yeah.
But that was kind of like only the one bad story. We've had one or two other people who just didn't like it, but they didn't make trouble, right?
Hmm.
The overwhelming majority have been very supportive. Now they'll also correct us. So when I say supportive, I don't mean they like everything we do. Sometimes
Hmm.
like that's wrong. This is the wrong character, but in a really good, positive, constructive way. And we want to hear it.
Yeah.
It's all about the fans. And we never wanted to like remake Redwall in our own image. We wanted to honor what the author had done. So we tried really hard to hit that feel and do it that way.
Farrago Fox says, "Thank you for double checking your lore. That's one of my long-standing pet peeves when games get lore wrong."
Right on. You are so welcome.
Yeah. It really, I mean, it's understandable to me when like a TV show or a movie will have to adjust lore because they have a limited amount of time, or the visual medium is different than a text medium, et cetera, et cetera. But when a game has so much freedom within it and they still decide to change things for some reason, I agree with Farrago Fox. It's not so much that it upsets me. It's more just like but why? Like, hey.
Yeah. Why did you do that?
Yeah.
I think about when Lord of the Rings decided to cut Tom Bombadil as an
Right. That
example.
was
It's
the
like,
big one.
yeah, that's a change, but also like in the medium, he's a difficult character in the book. So like, what do I do with this guy?
Right.
So
Absolutely.
I,
Yes.
and there's something like you can feel that they respected the story. They weren't trying to remake it or recast it in some modern version. So I gave him a lot of grace, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's, again, the ability to just give creators grace, especially because we have to understand that when it comes to specifically text mediums, when we say it should be X way, what we're really saying is X way is the way I imagined it. When I was reading this and when I thought about it, this was the thing that was in my head. Yes, sometimes they'll give, some pretty detailed descriptions of characters or events, but even with that, we are putting it through the filter and the lens of our own life. And and that in turn means that nobody's ever going to get it perfectly right. That's just never going to happen.
There's a conversation I'm in on Facebook right now of a guy who has apparently just discovered the games, and his complaint, and he does it in a nice way, so I don't mind, is that these are like battle hardened warriors, and you've made them cute, and he's like, I don't know, that just doesn't work for me, and he's got a fair point, and I think we also have a different fair point, which is like, okay, however, all of the cover art, all of the internal illustrations, people like Christopher Dennis and Sean Rubin, basically the art that has been established in the books is pretty cute. Like if you got a problem with it, it's not me. It's like it's been around for 20 years. But I love those kind of engagements because people, like I said, Redwall is one of those things that people love. And when we did a survey really early on, just asking all the Redwall fans we could find, if we're making a game, what kind of game do you want? And maybe you want an adventure game, maybe you want a match 3 game, whatever you want. And within literally a single percentage point, everyone said it doesn't matter. Like just make more Redwall. I want to live in that world. I just want the world. So that was our main lean into like we got to get the lore right. We got to get the characters right. It's got to feel like Redwall. And I think that earlier iterations of the game, frankly, like if you go back and you see the history of this, there's kind of an early access back in 2018, 2019, where the lore we nailed. Like we got the characters right, but we just frankly had focused too much on that and not gameplay. Like it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
And it was quirky and there was too much going on and it didn't have a heart. So we had to circle back and really rebuild. And honestly, we had to cut a bunch of stuff just so that it made sense. So yeah, that's kind of the story there.
It is, again, you're not going to make everybody happy. That's never going to happen. And then you also have to take into account. Oh, there was one more thing I wanted to show people before we move on here. And we are officially chat in areas I have not seen yet. So if there's a lot of wandering or whatever, it's because I don't actually know what I'm doing now.
I don't know what's going on.
This is the fast travel mechanism here. And it was fascinating to me because usually you don't see it as obscure as this. And so I was like over here somewhere and I'm just kind of looking around because again, I like the design. I like, looking at games. I like, checking everything out. And then I just saw like this glowing crack in the wall and it reminded me of Doctor Who of like just a weird glowing crack in the
Right.
wall. And I'm like, what is this? What's going on? And it's literally glowing as you get closer. And so you come over and then you hit the button and there's this great little animatic of burrowing in and then you can see of where you can go next. And you just burrow on out, and we got a little different area here, and it's like a hot spring. So I love it. It's very cool. But
The
go
if
ahead.
we ever get our chance, I'd love to make more games. This is all up to Netflix at this point, but we'd love to make more games that include moles and squirrels because they kind of have they're different characters or different creatures and they have different powers. And so we have this whole idea of mice can squeeze through cracks, and that's a true thing. Like actual mice can do this weird distort,
flatten their whole body.
Yeah, and so we've got this whole thing laid out. So yeah, and the notion that then you could be like a mega version of Trine, where different characters can get to different things that other ones can't. They have to cooperate. Anyways, Lord willing.
But when it comes to an IP like this, you just have to admit that the demographic is, 11-year-olds, 10-year-olds even, and that all the art is of these cute little mice. And so that's probably how you're going to make the game too. And so it'd be nice. I understand that for a lot of people, this is the book that they read when they were children, but now they're adults and they would like to see the gritty adult version of it. But that wouldn't be properly representing the IP either.
Agreed. Then you should just play Mouse Guard.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly that. Which also, hey, you should probably play Mouse Guard. It's pretty fun. It's I do like Mouse Guard.
Yeah, it is.
Do you know or play Magic the Gathering at all?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like an expert or anything, but yeah.
Did you hear the most recent announcement of what one of their upcoming sets is going to be? Bloomborough?
No, what do they got?
Bloomborough. It is anthropomorphic creatures and mostly focused on smaller rodents. It looks very much like Redwall. And
really?
Yes. And they just announced it, and it's this really big thing in the MTG community right now is everybody is, kind of passing around these images and whatnot. And I'm like, man, this is a really good time for people to be looking up, games with anthropomorphic mice. Like this is really good news for you guys because it crosses over on that sort of genre really, really well.
That's fantastic. I'd love to see more of that. I know it seems really going to be a good thing. Hey, it looks like one of the other people on our team signed in. I'm guessing that might be Samantha.
Hi, Samantha. Oh, Faith John, by the way, thank you for the follow. Much appreciated, Faith John. And Farrago Fox, on the subject of mouse games, check out Moss on VR. I have a little weak little tummy, a tummy that doesn't like, when world go big move, tummy no like. And so I can't do VR, unfortunately, unless I'm bathing in motion sickness like Dramamine or Bonine or whatever. I can't do VR. But Moss is one that I have seen a lot of really positive things for. You heard of or know Moss at all, Chris?
Oh, Moss is adorable. And I think that you wouldn't mind it because in that game, it's kind of a third person thing. So I'm telling the mouse where to go. I'm not the mouse. And so if motion sickness is a thing, I think it might work for you.
Oh, interesting. My son saved up for a year of birthdays and Christmases and allowances and whatnot and finally bought himself a VR headset. Maybe I'll see if I can convince him to buy Moss and then I can play
That's cool.
on his headset.
Yeah. Yeah, other kind of anthropomorphic games. You got to check out Ghost of a Tale, which is beautiful, like an absolutely beautiful game. The guys at Armello, they have a kind of a board game with these talking animals. Really, really good. We know some folks on the Western Deep. Anyways, there's actually kind of this little group of Mice and Mystics. That's a board game, I think. There's a bunch of stuff.
It really is a fun genre that is as old as storytelling, right? Just what if animals were like us? And so,
Yeah.
but then you get things like the Robin Hood, that Disney's Robin Hood, which is one of my favorite Disney movies and things like that. So, big apologies to you as a writer and to all the voice actors, by the way, that we've been talking all over this, but it looks like bad stuff is happening.
Yeah, so all of a sudden the rats attack, and so
Ah.
Sophia, in this case, Sophia is initiated as a scout, and just as she's about to go to her party, the rats are attacking her, and Robin's like, "Oh no, go light the lot, go light the lighthouse, and we'll save you." So
All right,
enter the drama.
we got to go light the beacons, my lord.
Exactly. Gondor calls for aid.
Gondor calls for aid.
Here's a fun little bit about animals: is that we had long discussions about things like, should these guys wear pants? And so think about Robin Hood, right? You've got this guy with a hat and a coat, but he's got no draws.
Right.
And so we had this long conversation, and it actually led to some really fun stuff. And so short answer is yes, they wear pants, and for the same reason. And so the notion, like, it's to keep you warm and to keep you private. And so that led to questions like, well, what would they wear, for example, on their tail? Do we treat the tail as an extra appendage, or do we treat it as like this? And so we treated it now like a little bit like earrings. So it's the kind of thing that it's not fully functional like a hand or a leg, but you keep it warm and you can decorate it. So they have like little jewelry that they'll wear on their tails. So we like went all off on this stuff. It was great.
I will say that I specifically noticed that the pants that they wear has a third pocket, like long part for their tail, and their tail only pokes out like the last third of it. And I'm looking at thinking to myself, like, and what it did is it made me think about every other IP that I thought of, and like with anthropomorphic animals, thinking to myself, do their tails get cold? Because like you were seeing right here, these guys got cold tails. Like you can see, chat, that her pants kind of, you can about like maybe even like 3/4 of the way, you can see where like the cloth stops and then it's her actual tail.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just makes me wonder, like, wait a second, do other animals get their tails get cold in other worlds? But the one that is always funny to think about is in any one where there are some characters that wear pants and other characters that don't. So like Mickey Mouse wears pants but no shirt, and Donald Duck wears a shirt and no pants, and it just makes you like wonder about this world and how that
exactly is going on here.
Yeah. All right, so we've got a little hit bells using such. Oh, I love that. So okay, we got a little stealth element here. So this reminds me a lot of. Oh no, okay. Oh, this is another part that I love. This, by the way. Whenever you get caught, so this whole idea of what's happening here in the intro that we will hopefully were able to listen to with the janky stream is that there is nice. This is actually just like an elder mouse telling a story to younger mice.
We just went full Princess Bride on that stuff.
And so, which I love, that's wonderful, but also whenever you die, there is a moment in which the kids will say, that's not what happened, and the grandpa will be like, okay, exactly. I made that up, or something like that. And are you serious or whatever? So it's really fun just to be reminded in those moments and to again build the lore on itself in that way. All right, so again, chat, we're following a you can see we got another mouse that's come through here, and there's a lot of different scents, but look at like all these other scents. What are they? What's going on here? So here, we're gonna actually come back here. This is where we're supposed to be going.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this scene.
Yeah. And again, what what I love most about this is Lilac, interesting. That it just builds this character in a real way of this is how they perceive this world. All of these scents that are floating around everywhere. Yeah, that's what it's like to them. It's crazy. And we think to ourselves, man, that's overwhelming visually. And no, I didn't do it. It was Farago Fox. Got to be careful, man. Stop walking out in front of rats. Okay. This is this is kind of like a walking and chewing gum thing. Gotta.
Oh, that guy saw you.
All right. There we go. Okay, go, go, go. Get in the tall grass. No, we're good. Oh, no, he did see me. Okay. So when it comes to the stealth sequences like this, is there pretty much like a prescribed path that I'm meant to go through? Should I cross? Oh, wait, did I not smell something over here? Should I go a specific direction, or as long as I'm avoiding the rat, am I okay?
There's a little bit of both. And
Okay.
so on the one hand, like there is the kind of expected path, but there's lots of little side bits. And so you can explore new stuff. You can, there's collectibles, there's lore, there's little views and stuff like that. So you've got both.
Nice. All right, here we go. Back in the tall grass here. And again, so you talk about having to think with your nose, recognizing that the rats can also smell me is something that I have to be attentive of and whatnot. It's so fun. All right, what do we have here? Whoa. Speaking of things being cute, the sneak. Oh. The voice acting again. The rats talking around here. Watch out for mouses. Having
So earlier versions of the game, we didn't have rat voices, and it was Bill Russell who just started like hamming some stuff up for fun, and all of a sudden we're like, we need that in all the rats. Like we need all, and they start talking to each other, and they have arguments, and they have relationships. There's a whole love story about these two rats that that goes perfectly sideways. It was so fun playing with the rats.
Oh, no, okay, cool. That is something that is such wonderful world building. Number one, but number two, you can tell when a voice actor is having fun and enjoys their role. And so being able to hear that in a voice, and you're saying like, it was just, you could tell that it was just so fun letting him ham it up. Like one of the ones that I go to for a lot with an example is Jafar in the movie Aladdin. You can tell that the voice actor is just having the time of his life in this role. Oh, stay down. Nope. You can see / smell me. Dang it. And so I love that type of hamming it up sort of voice acting. It's so much fun.
People ask me like what was fun about this project, and I gotta say like one of the most fun things was when we started having the voices come in, and in my case, especially like Act 1, like I'm seeing the stuff that I wrote come to life in a way that I've never seen before, and it was a surreal experience and so fun just to think like, oh my gosh, that's real now, right? There's actors and there's other people involved. It was glorious.
So what percentage of you was just super excited to see your world in like this place that you helped build and write and create actually come to fruition? And what percentage of you was just terrified that what if I did something wrong? Oh, I got seen. Dang it. What if I, what if my writing is bad, or what if, whatever, like I had that worry that you were going to misrepresent it?
I think if I'm honest, like I felt pretty good about the writing, and we tested it from several people. So by the time it was live, I felt pretty solid in it. We were getting good feedback. People were hitting the right notes. So in that regard, like especially on that first iteration, I was comfortable and confident in the writing. But the voices took it to such a new level, and there were times where we would kind of basically like change lines because someone would ad lib something. It really, the collaboration between all the people made it come to life in a way that I was not prepared for. In a really good way. It was just like wonderful surprise.
I'm sorry, chat. I'm actually going to pay attention now. I'm just too busy geeking out with Chris over here. So I'm going to focus. I'm going to get through this area here. We're going to do this for real. And by that, I mean, I have another question for you though. So how important then was, you talk about by the time, by this point, things had pretty much been figured out already. How important was your, playtesting and running things through? And you said that you let some fans check out early versions of it and whatnot. Like how much did you change after you saw some of the things?
Yeah, I would say a ton. And so so when we had early release, we basically had the whole first act that people could play on early release, and and long story short, the biggest problem is that the game did not have it didn't have a center. We're like, is this a stealth game? Is it a fighting game? Is it a puzzle game? Is it this? Like, it didn't know what it wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
And as we talked to people more and more, they're like, there's some fun systems in here that could by themselves be really cool. Like, frankly, we had a much more robust stealth system that ultimately was almost entirely cut. So obviously not all of it was cut, but there's way more. We had a lot more Splinter Cell. But we just had to make some choices, and that's that thing. I think for a lot of artistic things, you can't edit it anymore. That's where you get it good. But the temptation as a creative is to add more and add more and add more, and actually need to subtract. So to the thing, like, we cut a ton of stuff from that first build just so that the game itself could have a purpose. And I think what we wound up with was the story. We realized like story really was an absolutely key component, and so we amped that up and really dialed in. Puzzles we thought became especially like traversal puzzles. How do I get from here to there? Kind of Lara Croft style. That became the other big deal. And then we did do like exploration. So stealth is still in here, but we've really dialed down kind of the combat of it or anything like that. So you have to get places. This is probably the hardest stealth level in the whole game.
Well, I'm also bad at it. So, I mean, every time I'm like, he's literally looking right at me. Like, what did I think was going to happen? So,
yeah. So that, I would say, like, we cut a ton in terms of like systems, but we kept the content.
Yeah. Addition by subtraction.
Yeah.
This whole, like, this segment right here thus far feels very much like, I don't know if you played A Plague Tale. A Plague Tale Innocence.
Yeah. Yep.
So this reminds me very much of that, and just the whole stealth aspect of it, but also having a tool to be able to distract with. All right, cool. Checkpoint number 1. So we got more lilacs over there. Okay, we're gonna wait till this guy's turned around, and we're gonna head for the bushes. Nice. Okay, chat. We're doing it. So do the lilacs also mask my scent?
Yep. And so somewhere in there, I think I missed it that says that, but that's exactly what they do.
Oh, it brings me all the way back here. Dag nabbit. That's genius. I love that. Okay. We're good. I see what's happening. I see what we're doing here. I know my path. It's going to be fine. Chat, it's going to be okay. Everything is fine. Speaking of chat, we got Faith Drawn saying Prince of Persia handled narrative the same way, in the way that it like was somebody telling a story. Farrago, what happened? What did I say that you're making me shush, Farrago Fox? I'm so sorry. I did it again. I stood in the spot where the guy's looking exactly at me. I'm bad, chat. I'm just bad at it. This is what happens when I'm also trying to see. What the reality is, I can't multitask. Which is weird because I have ADHD.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I'm trying to read the chat and do a stealth aspect. You know how stealth you need to put all your focus in stealth. That's the way it works.
Yeah.
Long term, if you're able to continue the series, a mixed party of different animals, each giving different options, would be amazing. So Farrago Fox is saying that if you guys get to make sequels or whatever else, having that sort of, one is a mouse and has some abilities, one is a badger, has others, would be very, very cool, which I agree with.
Yes, I would love to do that.
So you had said something, and I don't know if you gave up a secret or if this is something that is known and I didn't know that, but you said the phrase, ultimately it's up to Netflix now. Has Netflix picked up Redwall? Do they have the rights right now, or?
Oh yeah, they did about 2 years ago. Big announcement that they picked up the IP. I'm gonna guess this, so to be clear, like, I don't have any official line on this, but I believe that they got a master license to kind of everything. And they engaged Patrick McHale as an author to do a script. But that was about a year ago that we kind of was the most recent news we heard. And now I think one of the things for Redwall fans is no one knows what, but the ball is in Netflix's court, and so far as we can tell, they're still cruising along with it.
That's really cool. I wonder what they're going to be doing with it. I know that trying to make quote unquote live action versions of things is sort of the thing right now, but I think an animated version of this, just a good, well-made animated version of this, would be really, really fun. It's one thing
Yeah.
that my whole family enjoys doing is like good animated movies and TV shows is something that my whole family can get behind.
Groovy.
Okay. I'm going to do
So
it this
Steve,
time.
just because I'm gonna have to move on here in about another 10, 15 minutes,
Yep.
if that's okay? I got
Yep.
some appointments I can do. Is there anything else I can do for you? Anything else we can help with?
Not at all, actually. Just thank you very, very much for being here. We genuinely appreciate your support. We genuinely appreciate the conversation. It's been a joy chatting with you here. Actually, yes, what you could do, it would be wonderful, is tell us where people can pick up Redwall.
Absolutely. So this one, the anthology, is available on Steam, Xbox, and PlayStation. If you want links, you can go to our Facebook page, but you can also go to legendsofredwall.com. I'll go ahead and post a link in there. And that also shows all the other games that we have. So that includes this one. But another game we launched at the same time is called Friends, and it's like a cozy cooking game. And so if you've ever read the books, food is a big, 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 big deal. And so we just love the opportunity to actually make a cooking game. And so that one we used cooking to become um, to become a way to make friends. And so you cook someone a meal they like, and they reward you with story about their life. And that's kind of that's the whole core game loop. It's actually, I think, friggin' adorable.
I love that. And as somebody who also loves cooking, are they going to smell me? Okay, no, we're good. We're good. As somebody who loves to cook and also the community that's built with cooking, I think that's great. Oh, I see. Ah, genius. Okay.
Now, I think on this bridge, I could be wrong. I think it's the first chance you get a chance to see a flour barrel. And so if you climb in a flour barrel, it hides your scent. Like you get covered in flour and
Oh. And so I just smell
now
like
this may just be
flowers
a
now.
yeah. So it looks like that was just a normal barrel, but flour barrel I think is on this level somewhere. And then it just masks your scent for a period of time. Eventually it washes off. But yeah, that's I think coming up here soon.
Let's see. Oh, okay. So I'm officially in a camp now, not just a stealth section. This was something else that I found. Oh, I didn't check the other one, but there was a letter taped to the back of the outhouse in the other place that I found the first time, and I'm like, that's a weird place to hide a letter, but all right.
There's so much lore. So Samantha Riff really dominated so much cool lore. And then there was a whole group of the people who were like, okay, where do these animals poop? Like it was important to them to figure out where do they go to the bathroom.
But again, that's world building, right? Like being able to figure all that stuff out and being able to round that out makes a place feel real. It really does. Let's see. Prudence to slip unnoticed.
And there's the Weeping Angels, you Doctor Who fans.
Yeah. Interesting. So we have an optional thing here. Let's see if we can do this. How would we... Okay, so we're trying to get the rats away from the friar's house. Is that what's happening?
Correct.
Okay. So let's see what our options are here. Again, this is what happens when I get distracted and I'm not listening to the actual prompts. Can I shoot? What? Oh, can I shoot them out of curiosity? If there is what's that?
Give you the result you want.
No, okay. Oh, I see. I see. Got him. I love it. So these guys are, oh yeah, they're dead. They're unalived. So how much of what you were doing here did you want to add extra things like this? You know, because something that games will do sometimes to a negative effect is try to say, you know what, we're going to make this story, but we feel like our game's not long enough. So well, let's make this and that and like just pepper in all this other random stuff across the board. And sometimes it can end up taking away. How much did you need to balance like, okay, we want to be able to not just make this a railroaded game and give them some options,
right,
but at the same time, this is a story-driven and IP-focused game. Let's focus on the story. How did you balance that?
So there was we had way too much, and then we'd cut it way a core story, and then once we had the core story, and by that time, basically we were solid on our pillars and our game mechanics, and then at that point we could start adding stuff back in. So I would say like we went to 11, we dialed back to 6, and then we came back to probably about 8. So Act 2 in particular is the longest act by a long shot. And so there's the most content there. There's the most options. So right in the middle, like it's as beefy as you want. But it also probably has the place where if you were to speed run it, you could just kind of skip a lot of it. You can probably skip 30-40% of that stuff if you're not into it. So that's Act 2 is really where the most the extra stuff exists.
Very cool. Okay, we got another stealth area here. So one thing that I noticed is that they have an eyeball of how much they can see you, and then they have a smell line of how much they can smell you. And I don't know why it took me so long to realize that, but definitely the smell line was one that I was getting caught with, more than I wanted to be before.
Quick thing, have you discovered the run button?
Yes, but you can't run during the sneak sections. But
it's true. I was watching a streamer the other day who had not figured out the run button.
Oh no!
So up a little bit farther aside here, and you've got a while to go yet. But there's one where you have to run away from the big bad. But he hadn't figured out how to run, and so he was just hopping, trying to get away from this guy. He's like, "This level is hard." So I had to get him on the thing. I was like, "Do you know about the run button?" He's like, "What?" And his wife is right there saying, "Like, this whole time you don't know about to run? I'm gonna kill you."
I will say that I learned about it about halfway through my run through the. Can I sneak right behind them? Go! Nice. About halfway through my tutorial, like run through that first time, I didn't realize at first because when you hit the button, you just crouch, and I'm like, oh, that must be the sneak mechanic. Like that must be how they sneak around. But then I actually did some moving of it, and I was like, oh no, this is the run. Okay. Nope. Dang. All right, that's all right. We're gonna go ahead and just hoop.
Right, Steve. I'm gonna have to bounce, but
Absolutely.
I'm really excited that you're playing this. Thank you. And if you do it some more and you want us back, we'd love to join you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Chris. Chat, I'm going to keep playing this for about another half an hour still. Thank you so much for being here, Chris. We appreciate you. God bless you, man. Have a good one.
You too, man. Bye-bye.
See you later. Which means we're going to transition right over here, chat, and I want to make sure, hold on. We have the whole thing in frame here. We do have the whole thing in frame. Okay. I know that sometimes I will like shrink or enlarge a screen depending on how I want it to be looking here. So, okay. Oh, actually, hold on a second as well. Okay. Usually I take a midstream break. We're going to take a quick, literally like 2-minute break while I, number one, fix some stuff because we're dropping the Discord chat, whatever else. But then number two, I'm also going to refill my coffee. I will be back in just a moment, chat. Like literally 30 seconds a minute. All right, like I said, right back. We here now. Awesome. Man, that was cool. It was wonderful to be able to talk with Chris. Chris is just an amazing person in general, by the way. I got to meet him long ago. I see. We're supposed to just do this, and then these guys... we just do a quick murder, and it's fine, right? Oh, we should have rung the bell again. Got that other guy over there. Didn't even think about that. But there's a letter there that I want. Let's go grab that letter real quick. Is he going to say must have been the wind? That is what, so there is in both psychology but specifically the psychology of gaming something called ludonarrative dissonance. Ludonarrative dissonance is, yeah, absolutely Farrago Fox. Being able to talk with the game dev is just, it is both a joy and a pleasure. But definitely zoomed in too much. Am I really? Oh, I definitely am. See, okay, hold on. Give me just a sec here. Hang on. I'll fix it. Hang on, wait, I'll fix it. Wow, like way too much. There. How did I not notice that? I literally checked and looked and was like, let's see. How does this look? And it's not great. It was real bad. So ludonarrative dissonance is when you... Well, where's the scent going, by the way? Is there no wind right now? No. Okay, I'm going to try and see if I can sneak right behind this thing because I want that letter. Get the letter, get the letter, get the letter. Yes. Oh, no, he saw me. Dang it. That's okay. This gives us a chance now to go ahead and kill them all at once. But ludonarrative dissonance is when the narrative... Oh, we're going backwards here. And the actions that you're taking within the narrative don't seem to make sense sometimes. So an example of that is when you are playing, say, Skyrim or whatever, and two guys are talking to each other. They're having a face-to-face conversation, and you shoot one of them with an arrow, right? And they die on the spot. And the other guy stops and says, "What was that?" And runs around all over the place, but you're hiding, so they can't find you. And the guy's freaking out, and he's running everywhere. And then eventually he has to stop and say, yeah, I didn't think I was going to make it. That was foolish of me. He stops and he says, "Must have been the wind." And you're like, really? The wind picked up an arrow and shot your friend in the face. All right, sure, man. Or another common example of ludonarrative dissonance is... Oh, nice, that worked. Is at the very end of a game, you know, you're the hero in a game, and you've reached the villain, and the villain's like, "Go ahead, do it, you know, kill me." And then you're like, "No, I'm not going to be like you. I'm not going to take a life when I don't need to." But you had just killed like 37 people to get to that spot. You went on a murder spree to get to that point in the game, but then you're telling the final villain that you're not going to be like them and kill people. That's ludonarrative dissonance. But it's a reality in gaming, right? Like when it comes to games, when you kill a rando bad guy, you can't then... Can I shoot that with my... When you kill a rando bad guy, you can't then have the other NPCs look for you forever. That would not be fun. You got to balance it. Okay. Let's see what we have here. So I saw that fence had a lock on the other side. The guards aren't real people. They don't count. That's why a lot of movies and shows and even games and whatnot these days, sort of a cheat in these sorts of sections is to make whatever villain, whatever like generic enemy, make them a different species or make them robots, because if your final boss is a human, but you have killed 30 mindless aliens to get there, or 30 robots, then you avoid the ludonarrative dissonance of it. You avoid the question of like, hey, how do you justify doing one but not the other? Skeletons, zombies, robots, exactly. Another reason why movies and TV shows will do this is to get around the gore issue. If your movie has too much blood, it will be rated R for violence and gore. But if you're killing a bunch of aliens and their blood is neon blue, or if you're killing a bunch of robots and it's oil, then you get around that rating issue. That's why Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, there's a really like intense segment. Spoiler alerts, by the way. Spoiler alerts for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. That's new enough that I'll say thumbs down while I give this spoiler. And then when I go back to thumbs up, you can unmute. So mute if you don't want the spoilers, as long as I have thumbs down. In Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, there's a section in which Scarlet Witch is trying to get to America Chavez, and a bunch of robots, like a bunch of Ultron robots, are standing in between them. And the next time you see her, she is covered in reddish oil because she has clearly destroyed a crap ton of these robots, but it looks like she's covered in blood, but it's not blood. It's okay. It's just oil. And that's how they kept that PG-13 rating, because if she killed a bunch of people to do it, then it would have kicked it up, especially because there is a pretty grim kill sequence just before that. So anyway, yep, there you go. We're okay. Spoiler time over. That must be her dad. Peace and blessings, Mr. Jacques. Oh no. You know who that is? The author. Oh, I love this. Man, I wish Chris were here to talk about this. Redwall author Brian Jacques. And I looked this up earlier. Again, I was just doing some research. He was known for Jaqu. He was known for having a little flat cap that he wears, and glasses, and that's just it's tribute to the author there. I love that. Peace and blessings, Mr. Jacques. Very cool. Okay. Let's see. Chris mentioned the Weeping Angels. I'm in season 5 of the new run of Doctor Who right now, and I just got past the second episode that has the Weeping Angels in it. And I gotta say, I liked the first one more. I liked how little they showed the Weeping Angels in the first one, and just how intimidating it was. Like, the cinematography in the first one was great, because they would see a character walk into a room and then, be chatting on the phone or whatever, and you can kind of see a statue in the background, but it's blurry. And then when they exit the room, the statue comes into focus, and it's just in a different position than it was when they walked in. You know, at first it had its eyes covers, and then when they walk out, it's got its hands over its chest, and it's like, whoa. Looked up cooking game they mentioned on sale for $4. I dig it. Probably snag it later. All this stuff is not only worth it just because it's $5 or $20 or whatever, but it's also worth it because you're supporting a really wonderful Christian indie gaming studio. I like supporting indie developers as it is, but knowing that it's a Christian indie development studio is just really cool to me. Oh no. Oh no.
Friar Thomas, are you all right?
Dear me. I'm not sure.
Okay. He looks okay.
Shaken to be sure, but alive. Unless we both got onto the dark forest unawares.
Okay, so here is my dilemma, and here's why I'm probably only going to be playing for about another 10, 15 minutes, or 15, 20 minutes, I mean, is this is a story-driven game, and we have missed, supporting a ministry and dev at the same time. Yeah, it's double your money there, double the value there. This is a story-driven game, and we have missed like the entire first act of this story, of the entire like inciting incident and whatnot. And so what will probably happen is I will play to, man, do I even want to know? I will probably start over off camera and play to just before. No, because there are people there. I'll probably get through the tutorial, and then we'll go through the whole section where we make the soup, because there are a ton of people there that you can stop and talk to, and there's like a ton of things to talk to them about, and that way we can get into the actual story. With that being said, though, yeah, thinking about it, don't want to spoil too much. Yeah, absolutely, right? So we were definitely going to restart. Oh, what do I want to do right now? How do I want to handle this? I'm wondering. You know what we're going to do? We're not going to talk to him.
Let me help.
And we're going to kind of skip over this dialogue here. Oh, the catacombs.
Surveying the broken remains of her graduation party.
Okay, we're gonna skip. We're going to get the story later. But we are just going to check in on what's going on here. But yeah, we'll play for 10 more minutes.
And even if she had a sword, she'd never been trained. Those wretched vermin were practiced killers and would likely have split her hide like a gourd given the chance. Stealth was her only option.
Remember your training. Most beasts only rarely look up. Hide up high, move low, and slow.
So, well, in about we'll say 7 minutes here, we're going to, oh, look, you can see the wind, which direction the wind is traveling. Yeah, that way you know where your scent is going. Gosh, this is such a fun game. I love the scent mechanic. Legitimately, I was not just geeking out over it because Chris was here. Oh, hey, everybody. Nice to meet y'all. I'm going to go ahead and come back here and see if there's a way to climb back up. Sure isn't. All right. Bad job, me. Bad job. Anyway, we're playing for about 7 more minutes, and then we will... come on. There we go. And then we're going to go through some announcements, because there's a lot going on this week. So I'm going to be hitting up some of those announcements here in a second. Okay, here we go. Here's how we get back up. Oh, wait. I want that jam. I want some jelly for my jam. And so we'll talk about just everything going on this week, and then we'll call it a stream. A shorter stream today, I know, but the reality is it's an incredibly wildly busy week, guys. So we'll be doing a little bit shorter of a stream today, so I can... Come on. You gonna let me jump off of there? Yeah. Ooh. Date honey bake. Okay. We did get one recipe, and it looked pretty legitimate. I want to see if this is a real thing. Man, again, another thing I would love to have talked to Chris about is, are these real recipes? No. Pitted date, blanched almonds, honey, salt. Stuff each date with an almond, sprinkle with salt, place in a pan. Oh, swathe with honey and bake at 325 degrees for 15 minutes, stirring once halfway through. Let cool. Remove dates from honey before serving. Yeah. That seems like a real... Okay, let's try this onion potato soup here. Melt butter, skillet, medium heat. Sweat onions to blonde, about half whisker. Salt, water, half a whisker. Salt, water. Add potatoes, bring to a boil. Cover, reduce heat, simmer for a full whisker. Add meadow cream and cheese. Guys, these are real recipes. Fargo Fox, I may have to check out that cooking game too and see how that goes. Okay. Head on into the next room here. Oh, what are we smelling here? What is on the other side of this that we're smelling? Oh. We've never actually smelled the blackberry jam. Enter flour. You don't emit scents when you're covered in flour. All right. What do we have over here, though? Why is this glowing? Oh, there's the flour barrel. I see it. Never mind. This is probably what it's... All right. Ooh, I'm a ghost. Pardon me, sir. Tight squeezes will scrub your coat away. Okay. So when we squeeze into a place, the flour goes away. Got it. But we're moving more quickly now, which means that the flour is probably... Or not the flour, the stealth is probably unnecessary anyway. Look at this place. Man. Very cool.
There, bathed in silver moonlight, the Lily Grove catacombs stood as a grand, if dusty, example of the craftsmanship of the moles. Long centuries before the spectacular vault was built by the mighty Roomborough clan in celebration and gratitude of all that Lily Grove had become in its heyday, which even then was long, long ago. And though its splendor had faded in the steady flow of time, it was and still is one of the most majestic sights in all of Mossflower Country.
So this is really good use of the same asset over and over again, because if you are walking into a village and you have one house asset, one cabin, and you copy and paste that cabin all over the town, it's going to become very obvious. Every single house is exactly the same. But we have, I think, maybe 3 different assets here. We have no door in a gap. We have closed door in a gap. And we have open door in a gap. And then you just flip it, mirror one way or the other. And they just copied and pasted over the entire thing. Oh, and we have balconies. So 5, yeah. 4 or 5, whatever it is, not a lot. So they just copied and pasted that over and over again throughout this entire huge area. But you don't look at it and see the same 4 or 5 assets copied and pasted over and over and over again. It looks like a beautiful, deep catacomb. Very well done.
Oh, I think the stars are so good to see. Hold now. Aren't you one of the Rye-Maid girls? Mrs. Ivywell. Oh, dear.
Variety of furniture behind open doors too, I think. Let's see. Behind the open the doors, do we have some... Oh, yeah, I see. little things back there. Yeah, it's some like barrels and whatnot. But for the most part, yeah. Just very, very simple use to make something that looks so majestic and beautiful. Okay. Before we do anything else, I'm going to try something.
I don't believe that.
Okay, fine. I just made that up. So, here, okay. Yes. We're going to call this the stream for now. Because here's what's going to happen, chat. We're going to play this game. I like this game. It's fun. It's well made and it's cool, and you should buy it. So, hang on here. Let me... Chris already did it once. I'm going to do it again. We're going to drop that into the chat there. You can pick up the game right there. You can also just head to Soma Games, their website, and check out all their other games and everything else that they have there as well. Man, this game is fun. It's really, really good, and I really love the adventure behind it. Animation is great. There's so many things I wanted to geek out about. I didn't want to get too granular with Chris because I was embarrassed. But the run cycle on the mouse. Hey, let's look at that real quick. Okay. I know I just said we were done, but I do want to look. The run cycle, the tail wave feels random enough that it doesn't just look like a loop. It feels very natural. The way the ears bob when you run really give the like anticipation motion a lot of very natural feel. But what I like the most is the way the body tilts when you're turning left to right, and the ears stop bouncing when you do that, as if there's like a sudden intention, like the mouse is no longer just casually, jogging forward. It's very much a, okay, now I want to turn right, kind of focus for a second. Now we're going to turn. Okay, now we can relax again, let those ears bob a little bit. It's, again, the subtle things like that is what really makes animation feel very natural and very real. Okay. Done geeking out about the game. Announcements. You guys ready? Number 1. Tomorrow, Nerdy Gritty Podcast. It's happening. I don't remember. Man, I don't even know if we know what we're talking about. There's a podcast tomorrow. Number 2. Friday, we are hosting Andrew Cooper. There is a multiplayer version of Vampire Survivors now. Here's the thing, though. It's only local co-op. You can only play locally. Andrew is from La Center, Washington. He's La Center Church in La Center, Washington, which is like half an hour from here. Andrew's coming over. He's legit coming over to my house, and he and I are going to be playing Vampire Survivors here in my office on Friday. I'm excited for that to happen. On top of this, I am doing a Bible thump for Love Thy Nerd. Check out Love Thy Nerd and all the stuff that they do. So, man, see, this is the one thing that I really need to figure out with my new setup is there we go. Okay. Check out Love Thy Nerd and everything that they're doing over there. On their websites and in the Discord, I'm going to be doing a Bible thump, which is basically like a short nerdy sermon that they're going to be talking about. I think I'm going to be talking about either foot washing, or maybe I'm going to be talking about like the image Jesus portrayed and the image that we portray to the world, and that it's not what you think it is. It's just, anyway, all that to say that I'm going to be hosting a Bible thump for Love Thy Nerd coming up here, so keep your eyes open for that. Then on top of that, what was the other thing I need to do? Oh, if you're in our Discord, hang on. We're going to be starting up. We had been doing Discord Devos every Wednesday for a while. I fell off of that over the Christmas season and haven't gotten back into it over the holiday season. And I'm going to be getting back into it now. So if you want to join in our Discord, we'd love to have you there hanging out and chatting with us. But also every Wednesday, there's just going to be a short devotional every week that is mostly, got faith-based stuff, but it's focused on how you interact that faith-based stuff with your community. So that will also be part of what we're doing there. Anyway, we have a lot coming up this week and next week. So just make sure following. You guys are amazing. We love you guys so, so much. Reminder that all of this is part of the greater ministry of Save Point Ministries that just wants to let you know how wonderful and loved you are in the eyes of God, how valid and important you are in the kingdom of God. But we also believe that the most important and most successful place to find that out is within a physical community. Sorry, I had one of my tassels in my elbow. Within a physical community in a real world church. And we want to help you find one of those places that is nerd friendly and that loves Jesus, but also wants to talk to you about Redwall or about what you're thinking about the live action Avatar or whatever else. So if you would like to find a nerd-friendly church, head over to SavePointMinistries.com. We'd love to do it there. Join our Discord. We have a channel on Discord to do that. We love that each and every one of you were here with us today, but always remember there's a church out there that would love it if you were there. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.